My lords, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back once again to the Ice Sheet and Rimworld. We're here with Cobra and Itamu. Now, in the last episode we'd moved them into the little mountainside base that we can see here, and we had a few issues with mental breakdowns as well as food poisoning. Now, a really good suggestion was left in the comment of the last video, and that is, when they do have a tantrum, is if you bar the use of the doors and lock them in or lock them out, then they can't, or it limits their ability to destroy anything of value. So should we suffer another breakdown such as that, that's what we'll do. Another good suggestion is to disarm the colonists if it looks like they're going to suffer a mental break. So that's something we might want to bear in mind as well. Now, as you can see, Itamu's mood here isn't the best, although it is slowly increasing, as we can see. Although she's now had a mental break. Luckily, this is only psychotic wandering, so she's only going to wander around in a daze. So let's try this. If we forbid the use of this door, that should limit Itamu's wandering to her bedroom. So let's see how this goes. Nope, that didn't work. I guess it maybe only works for tantrums or something. Who knows? Or maybe I just didn't read the comment correctly. That's always a possibility as well. So we'll leave Itamu to her wandering. She's not going to cause any damage, thankfully, so nothing to be overly concerned about. In the meantime, Cobra is fast asleep in the middle of the day, which we probably don't want to have happen. So let's wake him up. He can have some elk meat to start his afternoon. In the near future, we are going to want to haul the art bench and the stonecutter's table down into our little mountainside shack as well, but we can deal with that in the future. So Cobra's doing a bit of repair from one of his previous tantrums. Oh no, it wasn't from a tantrum, was it? It was from when he shot the wall during the last raid, that's right. Now, given the fact we have a seal just outside, let's go ahead and hunt that. We'd be foolish not to take advantage of that. Obviously, we want to be careful of the seal turning manhunter, which is a possibility. We've already lost a toad to a seal in our first episode, so luckily we managed to kill the seal without incident. So let's undraft Cobra and have him haul the seal. As has been pointed out previously, we are really suffering from the lack of a butcher's table, so we really do want a trade caravan to pass by that contains some wood. As soon as we can get some wood, we will build a butcher's table. That is top of the list of priorities of future production services that we need. Itamu's still having a little wander around, again not causing any hurt or hardship, so nothing to be overly concerned about with that. So what we'll do now, we'll just skip through until either Cobra wakes up or Itamu's rage comes to an end. And Cobra has now waken up a little bit early. It's only 3 in the morning. His sleep schedule is a little bit all over the place, as you can clearly see. He's going to attempt to calm Itamu down. Let's see how this works out for him. It didn't work, but I'm sure that's boosted his social skill just a little, which is always useful. So a bit of early morning butchery then on the seal that we just hunted down. And that's boosted our food supplies just a little. Okay, so we are wanting to butcher at the crafting and butchering spot that we have in our former base. Let's not do that. That doesn't make much sense. We may as well use the one that we have in our current base. So we'll just deconstruct the initial one. And then when it comes time to butcher in the future, we'll be able to use this one here. Let's do a little bit of cleaning here, just to get some of this debris all cleaned up. That's just going to improve our colonist's mood as much as we can. So that's 24 hours now. Itamu has been in her mental break, because as we can see from this achievement. Hopefully she'll snap out of it soon enough, however. You are desperate to fish, aren't you? I tell you what, knock yourself out. Go fishing. So Itamu's just had a bite to eat there during her psychotic wandering, so she isn't starving to death anymore. Her mood is slowly increasing once again, although it tends to be hovering around 15-16% as we can see. Cobra is now also at risk from mental break, which isn't ideal. Itamu has snapped out of her mental breakdown now. Let's see what we can do to help improve her mood as best we can. Now, I think the best thing we could do is start smoothing out some of the floor and wall surfaces inside the base. That will help reduce the awful bedroom and awful room negative modifier. Now, is Itamu assigned to construction? No, she isn't. Her construction skill is only 1. So if she was to try the smoothing, it would take a very long time for her to achieve it. So it's probably not the best idea for her to take care of that. Cobra is now also going to have a little drug binge on some smoke leaf. I'm not sure how much smoke leaf we have. There's one joint up there. Oh, he's off to get it now. Okay. Well, there's only the one joint, so shouldn't cause too much damage, hopefully. Meanwhile, Itamu is up and about, and her mood has increased quite a bit now, which is great. Let's go back to her skills here. She is pretty good at crafting and mining, so in terms of what she could get on with now, to be honest, there's not much mining we need to do, although we could get her to get some more steel. We have a steel vein here, so let's highlight that for mining. And that means we could then start putting in some traps around the entrances to our base walled off area. Cobra's off to bed after his little smoke session. And his mental break has come to an end. And that's also further disrupted his sleep schedule. As we can see, he's only at around 15% rest and it's 6 in the morning. So he's going to sleep for most of the morning once again. So we'll just focus on Itamu and her mining efforts. Okay, food situation isn't looking great at the moment. So we are going to have to butcher this human corpse pretty soon. That's not going to help Itamu's overall mood, as she will suffer a mood penalty from that. Okay, we'll wake Cobra up now, and then we'll prioritise the butchering. We do need to amend this butcher creature build to include human corpses. There we go. And then once he's done that butchering task, he can help himself to some elk meat for breakfast. Or I suppose lunch would be a more suitable description for this meal, as it is 1 in the afternoon. Itamu's progressing nicely with her mining order, and that's that vein almost mined out now. Just the 1 more block to go. There we go. So a bit of hauling and tidying around the base for Cobra. And he's going to haul the steel back down. In fact, we'll flag that for haul urgently, so they both prioritise that quite highly. So we still have a few insects roaming about on the map. Up to the north we have a snow hare. And a few insects down in the southwest corner of the map as well. Obviously in the last episode the insect hives perished. So there's no more free source of jelly, unfortunately. Now, what's this here? Is this an ancient danger? Let's go and find out. Or is this just a generic ruin? It looks like it's just a generic ruin. Let's open it up and see what's inside. Not a lot in there. Okay, let's deconstruct this little section of wall then. Nothing in there. In this little section, I'm guessing there's not going to be anything either, but we'll have a look. Nope, nothing in there either. Well, we'll get the granite blocks hauled back anyway. We might find some use for them. Itamu's gone to sleep. It is midnight, so I think when Cobra gets back, we shall have him eat a little bit of food, and then he can go off to bed himself. We do need to try and normalise his sleeping pattern as best we can. So a quick human meat snack, and then off to bed. Overnight we have an overhead space battle, which if both colonists were cannibals would be a godsend, because it gives us a high amount of food in terms of human corpses. Obviously Cobra can tolerate the cannibalism because of his ideology. Itamu, however, cannot. However, it does provide food, even if it is going to affect her mental state. It's better than nothing. So that's our food reserves topped up for the foreseeable future, which is great. So we'll top up Itamu's relaxation, and I think we will start some smoothing orders. And we'll start with Itamu's bedroom, as she is the one who seems to suffer greatly from the mental breaks. Let's assign her to the construction now as well. So this is going to take her a very long time, but obviously her skill is going to improve in construction the more she does it, so it is a bit of a win-win. In terms of how many corpses we've had land on the map, let's just see here if we just double-click one of them. So we've got 8 human corpses, and I think there are 2 survivors. Yes, we have Mullins here. Nothing special in terms of their gear. And we also have Welly. Now, they do have a bison wool parka, which would be absolutely fantastic. So what we'll do is, rather than... In fact, we'll leave Itamu to smooth the floor so she can prove her skill. And we'll send Cobra out to strip Welly of his clothing. Hopefully we'll get there before he bleeds out. I think it's about 3 hours, 2 hours, so we should get there in time. It's going to be tight. 1 hour left. There we go. And then what we'll also do is, once these 2, Mullins and Welly, once they do perish, we'll highlight all the human corpses that have fallen during the space battle, and we'll get them hauled back to our stockpile. So Mullins has actually recovered, which is quite interesting, although he's still bleeding out in 13 hours, although he's tending to his wounds by the looks of it. So as you can see, Itamu's done a little bit of smoothing, so her construction skill is going to be improving all the while. Obviously, every single tile that we manage to smooth out does increase the beauty rating of the room that little bit, so it's all going to help keep her mood high. Mullins has once again succumbed. I guess this is to hypothermia this time, although it could be the blood loss. So he will soon perish. And once he does, as I said, we'll highlight the other corpses and we'll get them all hauled back. Cobra's up to level 9 in construction, so he's going to be flying through his smoothing tasks now, as we can see. Okay, what do we want to get next? Let's have a look through, shall we? Obviously, we are, in fact, if we go here and project information, we can see the research projects that fall within our tech level, which is Neolithic. There's nothing really I can see that's going to greatly boost our survivability out here. But I think perhaps autopsy and basic prosthetics are the ones we'll go for next. Autopsy means we can start harvesting organs. And that means we can sell them to black market trade caravans. So let's start that research now. So once again, Itamu's mood isn't the greatest, as we can see, around about 30%, so there is a slight chance of a mental break here. So what we'll do, we'll have her do a bit of dexterity play just to increase her recreation and her overall mood as much as we can before we send her off to sleep. That should do. So Mullins is still clinging on, although I don't think he is long left for this mortal coil. His extreme hypothermia will finish him off very quickly. He's losing many digits on his left and right hand, as we can see. He's also now malnourished and has moderate levels of blood loss. Obviously, the missing limbs and missing digits aren't going to help that situation. And I think in the next hour or two, we shall see Mullins expire. There we go. So that's all of the survivors from the space battle now dead. So what we'll do is we'll double click one. We now have 10 human corpses on the map. We'll allow all, and then over time our colonists will bring them back to base to be butchered for meat and food. Okay, so a transport pod crash is also happening, so it is literally raining bodies in this episode. This is Gumpy. Let's just quickly pause it while we check Gumpy's stats. They're bleeding out in 5 hours. The level 8's artistic is quite interesting because we could have high level statues to keep our mood very high. decent construction and shooting skills, as well as a flame of passion in both of them, as well as mining. In terms of their health, they have a simple prosthetic leg. They are smokers, as we can see, so they'll probably suffer with the withdrawal symptoms from that, because we have no means of providing them with cigarettes out here on the ice sheet, at least not yet anyway. Social-wise, they're part of the Twisted Path ideology. They consider cannibalism abhorrent, so survival on human flesh isn't going to be that great. They also require ocular trees, which we don't have, so they're going to have a mood penalty from that as well. But I think we'll make an effort to save Gumpy. So let's send Cobra out. We'll stabilise Gumpy where they lie. They're only 19 years old, so they got a life ahead of them. Let's get Gumpy stabilised and invite him to join the colony if he so wishes. If nothing else, this is going to help boost Cobra's medical skills, so there is that bonus to this little effort. Okay, so that's Gumpy now stabilised, so what we'll do is we'll put down a sleeping spot, and this will have to go in our main quarters here. We don't have a separate bedroom available just yet. So furniture, sleeping spot, just there. This will be for medical purposes. And then Cobra, if you can rescue Gumpy. Chances are they will not join the colony, but it's worth an attempt. Okay, just looking here, it looks like we're out of food, so we are going to have to get some of these corpses hauled back. So what we'll do is we'll highlight them all and set them to haul urgently. And then if we reset Cobra and Itamu, they should then start prioritising the hauling. Indeed, Cobra has done that. Itamu is also doing the same. So Gumpy has indeed opted to join. That's very good. So an extra pair of hands is always welcome out here. Although we do have a major break risk from the pain and from the cold. Gumpy has now also become infected with a disease from one of their injuries, so Cobra's on his way back, so once he drops off the corpse, we shall rescue Gumpy and attempt to stabilise this infection. Without medicine, I think we're going to be hard-pressed to fight off the infection, however. We can't feed Gumpy as there is no food. However, we can butcher two of the corpses that have been brought back already. So Gumpy, please rest until you're healed. That's the best thing we can do to try and combat this infection. And unfortunately, you are going to have to make do with human meat. I know you're not going to like it, but if you don't want to starve to death, you're going to have to suck it up, I think. So Cobra, grab a bite to eat yourself. And then feed Gumpy, and let's just have a look at his infection here. So it looks like the infection is spreading faster than the immunity. Although it is pretty close, but it does have a 10-point head start on the immunity, so chances are Gumpy may soon expire. Unfortunately, it would have been nice to have an extra pair of hands. Although keeping them fed on human meat wouldn't be great for their mood. But as I said when we did initially rescue Gumpy, if nothing else, it's going to help our colonists' medical skill. Yes, as we can see now, the infection is rising quite a bit faster than the immunity percentage is rising. So, unfortunately, it looks like Gumpy is going to expire despite our best efforts to rescue them. So breakfast for Itamu consists of human meat, which she is absolutely going to hate, as we can see here. A -20 modifier. There's also a large modifier from actual butchering the humans as well. Even though she is not the one who did the butchering, she still does get affected by it. So 13% infection 10 quality there this time around. I think it's too little too late, however. But we'll keep him going as much as we can, just for the boost to our medical skill. In terms of wildlife, we're still stuck with just the snow hare to the north, and a few insects roaming around to the east. There's also a few in the caves to the southwest. They've not moved on or moved out yet. Okay, so we now have life-threatening infection for Gumpy, unfortunately. So there's not much we can do for him. So we shall leave him to his own devices, so to speak. And then we shall have to use him for other means as a source of food. Looks like most of the colonists that fell from the sky have been hauled back now. There's still 3 up here that we can see just there. Other than that, I think that's the rest of them already hauled. We do want to haul these items of clothing urgently, because especially the bison wool parka will greatly help with keeping the cold at bay for our colonists. Although I think both of them are pretty comfortable even without the steam geyser. So there we go, Gumpy has now expired, unfortunately, but that's another meal to add to the stockpile. So we shall haul Gumpy into the stockpile zone, and then we shall tidy up everything here that's dropped down as well. Itamu is very likely going to suffer another mental break because of the cannibalism she's having to resort to survive. That's unfortunate, but hopefully over time we might be able to get her to join our religion, which would remove that little negative modifier. And I say little, it's obviously quite a extensive negative mood modifier that she gets from the cannibalism. As we can see here, our stockpile zone is almost full once again, thanks to all the articles of clothing that we are gathering from each corpse that we butcher. So that will need expanding in the not too distant future. So life on the ice sheet isn't going great for Itamu at the moment. But as I said when she did first join the colony, I'm not going to prioritise her sanity and her well-being. If she survives and flourishes, so be it. If she doesn't, then oh well, that's another meal for Cobra. So I think we're now down to the last corpse that requires hauling back. There's also a seal on the map, which we might want to hunt, just so Itamu can have something a bit more palatable to eat. And we'll micromanage Cobra so that he tends to stick to the human meat, because he has no objection to that. However, every time we butcher the corpse, it is going to negatively impact Itamu's mood, who's now suffering from a mental break and is hiding in her room. However, interestingly, it has dropped her belief level down to 50%. So we could very soon look at converting her to our way of thinking. We have a quest here, the adorable pig. Do we want to be feeding a pig? I don't think so, so we'll disregard that quest. I mean, we could have taken the pig and slaughtered it, but I'm not sure if there'd have been repercussions from the Empire had we done that. So just to be safe, we shall disregard it. So Itamu is also close to a mental break as well, so we're going to have to help his mood out, and the best way to do that at the moment is to get him to eat. So let's get him to prioritise a bit of butchery here. So have a bite to eat, and then we'll do a bit of recreation play just to boost your recreation bar and your overall mood, and then send you off to sleep for another day. As we can see, the smoothing tasks have progressed relatively nicely here. Not smooth, go to sleep. Now, unfortunately, as you may have noticed when we looked at Itamu's social tab a moment ago to check her ideology, her and Cobra do not have the best relationship, as we can see. Negative 100. So it's not like their friendly chats are going to help them keep a decent mood. And obviously the negative thoughts towards one another are not going to help with any conversion efforts that we might want to set in motion. So for now it looks like Itamu is just going to have to struggle and just be relatively upset with her life and her lot out here on the ice sheet. The plus side is she is still alive. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like that factors into her mood. Okay, now Cobra has opted to hide in his room. And it was unsightly environment that triggered his breakdown. So the sooner we can get these walls and stuff smoothed out, the better. Obviously the blood on the floor and the junk lying everywhere isn't going to help either. Of course, Itamu doesn't have any, or she's incapable of social interaction, so that means we can't use her to attempt to snap Cobra out of his mental state, which is unfortunate. But given their poor relationship, it probably wouldn't be successful anyway. So let's wake her up. She can do a bit of cleaning and a bit of hauling. We don't have any food left available. Oh no, she had some in her inventory. Okay. Okay, she can't do that. So after a wash, I guess she can carry on smoothing things out for us. Her construction has improved to level 2, so it is increasing quite nicely. So she's working that little bit faster per tile. Still relatively slow, however, so this is going to take a while Itamu is the only one working on it. Of course, there's nothing we can do about Cobra, unfortunately, but hopefully in the next few hours he should snap out of his mental breakdown. Okay, so now Itamu has decided to hurl insults at Cobra, so that's great. Given how much effort it is trying to keep Itamu's mood away from a mental break, and her unsuitability for life out here on the ice sheet, I do think that once Cobra snaps out of his mental break, he'll have to take matters into his own hands, and he can deal with Itamu in more creative ways, shall we say. So all the insults led to a social fight, which has snapped both of our colonists out of their mental breaks. So now that Cobra has been brought back down to earth, so to speak, after he's tended to his wounds, which are only bruises and cracks, so nothing too drastic or too concerning, we shall, well, first of all, we shall have a meal. And then once we've topped up our hunger bar, we shall deal with Itamu in a different manner. Basically, we're going to shoot her. So let's get Cobra drafted up. This will probably give him a positive mood boost anyway, because they have a very poor relationship. There we go. That's Itamu taken care of. It was unfortunate that we couldn't keep her going, but it was just... I don't think it was worth all the extra effort. So, Cobra's back to a solitary existence on the ice sheet now. However, that has given him a nice plus 10 mood bonus because they had such a poor relationship. And it's also provided him with a bit of extra food as well. So, there's a silver lining, I should say, to every cloud. So we shall butcher her body now for the food that it's going to provide, as well as the human levers, which we can utilise for crafting purposes. I don't think we're going to have enough room for all the clothing that these corpses are going to drop during the butchering process. So in the near future we are going to want to expand this stockpile zone out just a bit, and in fact we'll make a start on that. Let's start a mining order here. If we mine out to there and then along the bottom, that should provide us with enough space for future storage. So let's prioritise the mining. Okay, so we're going to do a bit more butchering, are we? That's fine. Suppose it gets it all out of the way and taken care of. But we do need something to eat. We could also deal with a bit of recreation as well. So let's have a bit of hoopstone play and then head off to bed. Although we probably want to clean that blood up first, because that's not going to help the beauty rating of the room. There we go. Right, off to sleep you go. We got, yeah, about 20% rest, so you're ready for sleep anyway. What's this quest? Zeebo's Salvation. So we would have to travel to rescue Zeebo, which is not really viable for us in our current state, so we'll disregard that quest. If it would have been one seeking refuge here, then I would have accepted it. However, we're not really in any sort of state to be travelling across the ice sheet, and the last thing we want to do is start travelling and end up missing a trade caravan that happens to pass by, because we are desperate for some wood so we can get that butcher's table that we really do need pretty urgently. So rather than resting your wounds, which aren't that severe anyway, let's manually force Cobra to be a bit more productive today. So let's get on with some mining. We do need to get this room expanded in size. Okay, the seal that was wandering around on the northern edge of the map has now turned Manhunter, which is fine. We are very well protected. They will not attack the doors unless we encourage them to do so. We also have an aero fleet on the map. They'll probably come and linger around the colony for a short while before moving on. We could hunt them if we wanted to, although we do have a fairly sizable supply of human meat at the moment, as well as 4 more corpses still to face the butcher's knife. So for food, I think we're pretty much covered. So we'll focus on excavating our stockpile room as much as we can before heading off to sleep today. There you go, that's a few more squares mined out, nothing major, but it's enough to at least stock some of these clothing items in there, so they're not just lying around our main base floor, which isn't going to help mood. Neither is the big puddle of urine that's next to the latrine, so we'll clean that up. And then we can't head off to sleep yet, we need to be below 75% rest. But as soon as we are, we will send Cobra off to sleep, just so he's not sleeping during the day and awake during the night, which isn't going to help his mood. I say it won't help his mood. I don't think it has any negative impact on his mood. However, if he was a night owl, then the reverse would be true. However, he is not. So we'll wake him up, do some more mining. He's feeling much happier now. Although he's desperate to do some smoothing. I'd rather get this mined out as quick as we can, though. The sooner we can get it all mined, the better. Alright, so that's now all the clothing dropped off into the stockpile zone, rather than just being left all over the floor. We may as well cancel this smoothing order over here. The priority is to smooth Cobra's own bedroom. Obviously, this bedroom isn't occupied anymore since we finished off Itamu, so smoothing all that out isn't really a priority. Once we get a second colonist once again, then obviously we will look at smoothing that out to keep their mood high as possible. For now, we need to focus on Cobra. And in fact, what we can do is we could even reinstall the artwork from Itamu's bedroom into our main room. That should help keep our mood high while we're in our main base. The solar flare is of little concern to us. We have no electronic devices in our base. As we can see, Cobra's bedroom is now classed as decent thanks to the smoothing efforts. The spare bedroom is now classed as ugly. That's obviously deteriorated since we removed the artwork out of there. And our hospital, which is classed as a hospital, obviously classed as the medical bed, which we can deconstruct. This laboratory is also classed as ugly, and that's in spite of the marble statue that we have available. Now, as we can see, our stockpile zone of chunks is almost full as well. So another thing we're going to want to do in the very near future is get this stonecutter's table dropped a little bit more locally. That way we can start turning some of these granite and marble chunks into granite and marble bricks, which we can use for artwork. However, we'll take care of that once the bedroom smoothing has been taken care of. Okay, so interestingly, we do have a random visitor appearing on the map. This is Brinreka Beerbor. She is a trader from the Engo Alliance, so she does have some items to trade, so it may be worthwhile speaking to her and seeing what she does have available for us. Hopefully she has some wood. Let's disturb Cobra from his rest and go and investigate. Okay, so she doesn't have any wood for sale, but she will take some things off our hand. So I think what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and get rid of all the items of clothing that are just left around our base. Cobra is pretty well protected against the elements as it is, so we can always craft more clothing if we need to. We'll keep the recurve bow for any future colonists that may decide to join. We'll get rid of the cigars and the 2 steel hatchets as well. All in all, including the marble sculpture, that's going to net us 459 units of silver. So, do we want to get the pemmican, or would we want to get the herbal medicine? Now, there's only 42 units of pemmican, so it wouldn't last us very long anyway, so I think we'll prioritise the medicine. That, however, still doesn't cover the cost of this trade, so we would be trading at a loss. So let's go ahead and buy up the pemmican anyway. Still not enough to cover the trade. She only has 242 silver. The trade is going to cost 293. So we'll keep the marble sculpture. And we shall keep some of the more suitable clothing, such as the muffler wool and sheep wool items. I think that will be good enough for now, so let's accept that trade. And we'll get all this hauled back to our stockpile ASAP. As we can also see, Cobra's efforts have almost been completed in his bedroom. There's just one last tile to smooth out, which we'll take care of now. And then we'll let Cobra sleep for just a little bit longer. It's still fairly early in the morning and his rest isn't that great just yet. We'll get to about 80-85%. There we go, that should be enough. So that's the visitor on her way after a nice successful trade for ourselves. With all those items of clothing now sold, expanding this stockpile zone isn't the biggest priority that we have, but we'll go ahead and do it anyway, although I think we'll stop there, so let's cancel the rest of this mining order out here. There we go. As we enter a solar eclipse and head to our research bench. Now, I do think that's where we'll end today's episode as well. In terms of base changes, not much has changed. We've not done any research really, apart from the last few minutes there. Although we do have a transport pod crashing just as we wrap things up. They're bleeding out in 12 hours. They are completely naked, so they're not going to last long out here. So we'll leave them to the elements, and in the next episode, that will be another meal for Cobra to secure. So yes, the only major change, obviously we've now returned back to 1 colonist after briefly having 3 colonists at one point in the episode. Obviously we had to deal with Itamu ourselves because of her constant mental breaks that she was suffering from. And the other colonist, which was Gumpy here, sadly passed away from infection, although I imagine, like Itamu, he wouldn't have enjoyed life out on the ice sheet, and micromanaging his constant mood breaks would have been probably just too much to handle. So we're back to our solitary existence, and then there was one. So all that means for me to say is obviously take care of yourselves as always, ladies and gentlemen. It's ta-ta for now.